to speak to you about what is protein and how much protein do we need. I've actually already recorded this earlier, so it may say that we're live, but this is pre-recorded. And this is actually my second recording that I've had to do today because my first recording that I did, um, the audio came out really bad. You couldn't hear me or anything. So hopefully this second time around when I do this video about what is protein and how much protein do we need, this time it will record, inshallah. So Bismillah, inshallah, this is going to work this time. I hope you're all having a great evening, and I do hope that you find this video informative. If you have any questions after I post this later onto Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, please leave any comments and I will try to answer your questions. So this is the first of a series of videos that I'm going to be doing that is talking about different health topics. And this one here is different nutrition fundamentals and everything. Tonight, I'm talking about protein. So basically, protein is a macronutrient, and there are three main macronutrients, protein, fats, and carbohydrates, with macro simply meaning large. So these are the nutrients that are most common in our diet. And on the flip side, micronutrients are those that are much lower in quantities in our diet. So tonight we're looking at protein to help provide you with an understanding of the macronutrient and its and how it is important to our human health. So protein is an incredibly important macronutrient, and without it, our body composition and health greatly suffers as a result. So proteins are what they are. They are essential. Again an essential nutrient, and it can be broken down into 20 building blocks known as amino acids. So out of these 20 amino acids, 9 are considered to be essential as the body cannot make them by itself. This means that we must obtain these proteins, these amino acids from our diet and through a variety of animal and plant-based sources. And yes, it's definitely possible for you to source all of these from plant-based sources. The other 11 aminos can be synthesized by our body, making them non-essential. So our body's able to actually make these on its own. So the essential amino acids are histidine, isoleucine, leucine, lysine, methionine. Forgive me if I'm not pronouncing these correctly. Phenylalanine and threonine, tryptophan, and valine. So these are the essential ones. The non-essential that our body makes on its own is alanine, arginine, asparagine, aspartic acid, cysteine, glutamic acid, glutamine, glycine, proline, and cysteine, serine, and taurine, and triosine. So these are the ones that our body can actually produce on its own. Within the 9 essential amino acids, there's 3 branch chain amino acids, BCAAs, leucine, isoleucine, and valine. So these, again, they're different to others as they do not require metabolizing by the liver, and therefore they're taken up directly into our skeletal muscle. So also these 3 amino acids are the most important for the manufacturing, maintenance, and repair of muscle tissue, as they're responsible for the flickering on of the muscle building process known as protein synthesis. So I also, I'm not going to get into the common foods that we eat, but, there's the animal protein foods, and there's also the plant and dairy protein foods. I do have a chart that you can ask me for if you're interested in actually knowing how, 1 gram of 1 gram of edible protein per 100 grams in weight. So on each of these, like you would have to have 100 grams in weight for 1 gram of this edible protein. So it'll really go into details of this for you. Um, there's so many different ways that you can get your protein from. So it's like making a choice to make the best choices um, for you to source your protein from. So anyway, enough with that. The average intake. So for a healthy person of a healthy weight who's mainly sedentary, they don't move around a lot, and they're not really seeking any kind of changes in their body composition, then an intake of zero point 0.4 to zero point 0.6 grams of protein per pound of body weight is sufficient for them. When you're wanting to lose body fat, protein has a high thermic effect, which means it requires more energy um, just to break it down, so to assimilate and digest than carbohydrates and fat. It also takes longer to digest and has been shown to reduce appetite compared to carbohydrates and fat. We also need protein to build muscle, which is very important when following a following a fat loss diet. The more muscle you have, the more you'll burn daily, and the less stair climbers and elliptical sessions would you need to do. So having a high protein intake during calorie deficit is also very important, as it is an anabolic nutrient, meaning we are more likely to preserve lean body tissue, which can sometimes be broken down when we're dieting. Um, so when you're building muscle, the key to building muscle is a positive protein balance. So this you can achieve, it's achieved when protein synthesis exceeds protein breakdown. So a higher protein diet will upregulate the protein synthesis, provided that you're spreading your meals out. You're evenly spacing those meals, which creates a net positive protein balance, resulting in that anabolic building environment. Um, Studies that look at muscle mass, protein intake tends to vary from zero point 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. So it's safe to say a balanced approach would be most beneficial. So around 1 gram per pound of body weight is actually highly effective. For someone like active and elderly, body composition goals aside, you may find that that some of you may be highly active or through your jobs or activities such as endurance training or something like this. So research shows that a daily intake of 0.5 to 0.65 grams per pound of body weight for these types of people. Elderly people can also benefit from more protein to help prevent aging diseases such as osteoporosis and scaropenia, which is reduced muscle mass. And research basically shows that a daily intake of 0.45 to zero point 0.6 grams per pound of body weight. This is about what you would want for like these elderly people that I was talking about. And finally, those who are recovering from injuries may also benefit from a high protein diet. And okay, so we're looking at timing and types. So we've discussed, or I've mentioned the different protein sources that you have the animal protein sources and you have the plant and milk-based protein sources. So it's the type of protein we ingest will improve the health results that we see. We also know that animal protein sources are more effective than most plant-based sources at stimulating muscle protein synthesis due to their digestibility, that low fiber and amino acid profile. Also, proteins contain high levels of BCAAs, particularly the leucine, um, will produce a greater protein synthesis, improving the insulin signaling and sparing glucose in the muscle. And lastly, we're going to talk about dangers of a high protein diet. Many people will try and tell us that high protein diets are bad for us and that it's linked to cardiovascular disease, dehydration, calcium loss, liver damage, and kidney function. And the question that needs to be asked is show us the accurate research. So, when looking at research, excuse me, I had a little scratch in my throat. Looking at research, the small amount of research that may support these dangers does appear, just like many things in the nutritional world, so, have often been greatly exaggerated. So, here's what you need to know. And this is actually according to the Journal of International Society of Sports Nutrition. They did a research report on high protein weight loss diets and the purported adverse effects. Where is the evidence? So basically, their conclusion in this report is that it's clear that the American Heart Association Nutrition Committee statement on dietary protein and weight reduction contains misleading and incorrect information. Certainly, such a public warning should be based on a thorough analysis of scientific literature, not unsubstantiated fears and misinterpretations. So basically, what they're saying is for individuals with a normal renal function, the risks are minimal and must be balanced against the real and established risks of continued obesity. So, what is more of a risk, for someone to continue to be obese or someone who does have normal and healthy renal function, that a high protein diet could actually benefit them? And again, this is a research report in the Journal of International Society of Sports Nutrition. I can add a link in the description to this video. And I have a scratchy throat here. I'm hoping that this is recording because, like I said, this is the second recording that I have done. So anyway, back to some of the stuff that this report revealed is there was no link of protein causing increased risk of coronary heart disease. There was no link of protein causing liver or kidney damage in healthy subjects. And there's another, and then there's another report about a positive relationship between protein and bone health. So, summary is that you should now understand the importance of protein in the human diet and how it's metabolized, how to measure measure quality, assess daily intake in various populations, and compare protein types and debunk some of the myths that surrounded it. If you want to know about measuring the quality and daily intakes, you can leave me a message and I can, inshallah, share the chart with you on the different types of proteins and that. So I hope this was informative, and and the next video series that I will be talking about is we will be talking about fat. So the next talk is going to be all about fats. So I would look forward to seeing you next time. Salam alaikum. This is Angela. Have a great evening and take care. Good night.